Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's always great to see some young minds out here. So, let me start by asking this question, right? What's leadership, and what do we really mean by leadership? I mean, let me ask you this in two phrases, maybe. Do you visualize a leader to be someone who is maybe in the 50s, has a designation like CXO, leading a company or a big like title to run with? Or do you think about a leader as a 25-year-old person in the armed forces leading a group of young men trying to conquer maybe a hill or get one of the missions successful? And out of this group, if your answer from this group is both of them, Vignesh, are leaders, I think 50% of the definition is you have already covered, because leadership is never about any age, any title, any privilege. Leadership is not something which is given to you as a degree or a title, or you get it at say age or after you have completed some sort of certification. Leaders are many a times born with traits, or they nurture those traits, leadership traits, that make them eventual winners. So that's the secret about leadership. Unfortunately, we don't like all the other skills. Think about it, right? Like if you want a functional skill, if you want a soft skill, you will join some colleges, or we get certified, we get degrees. Think about it, we don't have an undergraduation or a post-graduation on leadership. So leadership is never about somewhere conferring a particular title and telling that, hey, from today, you're going to be a leader. So some of the best things about leadership, I think as I have gone through my career, I have been groomed by some exceptional people who taught me how to become a leader, what it entails to be a leader. And as well, I was going through this journey, I could see that some of the traits that they were teaching me is freely available in nature. I mean, that's the beauty about it, right? Like, and as I was thinking about this talk, some of the ideas that came to me heavily from other talks that I've heard and some inspirational speakers, you can see that there are, in the animal kingdom, you will find a lot of animals who exhibit these traits without any formal education like what we see. They do it day in, day out, and that's the reason they are where they are in that animal kingdom, right? So today, let's maybe take a jungle safari and try to learn from each of these animals. I have 7 traits which I consider very important to be a leader, and I'll try to associate them with some of the animals who basically exhibited day in, day out. The first most important aspect of being a leader, or what is the trait that you need to live with, is leaders have great attitude. And now, what does attitude really mean, right? Like, it can sometimes be a positive term, sometimes people take it as a negative term. So let's take it into the context of a lion. Have all of you just sat and thought about why is lion called the king of the jungle, right? Like, it's neither the tallest, that's the giraffe, it's not the heaviest, that's the elephant, it's not the strongest, certainly, it's not the fastest, it's not even the most intelligent animal on the planet. So why do we call it as the king of the jungle? That's because it's the attitude which the lion just steps up every day, right? It walks into the savannah as if it owns that entire jungle. And that's the beauty about why, what an attitude can completely redefine your entire persona. When you see other animals running or acknowledging a lion when it's coming in, think about it. Are they fearing the lion? I would look at it slightly different. They respect the lion. They really respect who the lion is and how it turns up every day. I've worked with some exceptional leaders who have this ability to walk into a room, change the mood of the room completely. I'll tell a personal experience. 3 post-graduation students like you, we were in a consulting assignment, nothing was going, we were struggling abroad, sitting and trying to convince our customer. For 6 days, nothing happened, and my leader walks in. Our entire room just transformed. It was basically the positivity, the way it was like acknowledging that, hey, you guys have already done your great work, let's move on. that energy completely changed the way we were. And that's the attitude that every leader should have. Without attitude, all the other traits that we are going to talk about is useless. So keep this in mind, attitude is the most important. The second, the eagle. This is about reskilling, unlearning, relearning, which is very important. Every leader goes through this. It's a long journey that all of us cover as a leader, right? Like it's a 30 plus years of career you have in. And it's inevitable that every decade you have to relearn, unlearn, leave aside some baggages and move on. Nothing explains this better than the life of an eagle, right? It's the king of the animal bird kingdom, and it lives very similar to our lifespan, 70 odd years. And by the 35th year, eagle has a very, very serious decision to take. Its wings the feathers are old, it can't fly very high, its beak is like blunt, its talons are all blunt. All of this basically is going to pull it down, and it's not going to be the animal it was. There are two options at that time. It can live like that and die very quickly, or go through a very, very painful transformation process. It goes through a mountaintop, it starts plucking each of its wings so that they grow back. It breaks its beak, it then lets its entire talons grow back. It is not a process of a day or two, it's a process of weeks and sometimes months. And when it turns back, after that transformation, it gets another 35 years to live. That's what a leader really needs to understand, that every time you go through a crisis, you have to learn from it, you have to redefine what you have learned. You might have sometimes, you have to let go some baggages, accept some facts and move on. So remember this, reskilling, unlearning and relearning. The third, this is one of my favorite, because all of us say I'm a great listener, but there's a big difference between hearing and listening, okay? So many a times I have seen leaders who hear, but they do not actively listen. Great leaders listen. And that's the beauty about why we call you're as wise as an owl, right? Why does an owl's ability to listen to the minutest of details, noises, is what really helps it find where the dangers are, where its preys are. And that's where it has basically become the successful animal that it is. And each of us, if we put in that extra effort to take that moment to let other people express themselves without being interrupted, without being questioned, that's when a leader really gets the information. Every leader has to know the detail, the data, hear from the ground, and then take a conscious decision. That's the great leaders do that consistently. They don't do it only on some topics, they do it consistently across the board. So remember this, it's a very, very important trait, active listening. The fourth one goes without saying, not just for the leader. In this career, everyone needs to be resilient, but leaders really need to be that much more resilient, because think about it. If a country is successful, the leader is said to be the reason. If a company breaks down, the CEO is blamed, again a leader. So think about the moment you step into a leadership kind of a position, your failures and your successes are huge. It swings very, very significantly. And that's when, in times of crisis, your pits can be really deep. And at that time, if your resilience is not there, you will really start struggling in. No better animal than the honeybee, right? Like, they work tirelessly. I mean, they face dangers every day. They have to go through so much of struggle to collect the nectar from 50,000 odd flowers to even create, I think, 1 gram of honey. That's the equation. So, but they do it. They do it without questioning, without even feeling the pain that why am I doing this? And at some point in time, leaders have to do that. The next is trust. Everything is built on trust. So a leader who cannot be trusted is not a leader in the first place. So everything that you are going to do as a leader, you have to build it on the foundation called as trust. The moment you are able to be identified as people who can be trusted, that's when a leader really is born. And no better than an elephant, right? Like if you look at it, the matriarch of the elephant is the one who leads. She leads actually the entire herd when there is a drought or when there is no food available, and based on the memory, the matriarch actually leads the entire herd to places where there are food available. And the entire herd just very patiently follows the matriarch, doesn't question, believes, trusts that yes, this person will take us to that particular position, where a place where all of us can live. So that level of trust is what a leader needs to build. It's about taking an entire group along with you, with that deep trust that yes, I am the person who you can believe, and I can take you to a place where things can work for all of us. Very important, never think as a leader, you should never think like from in the phrase I, it should always be we. A leader is leadership is never about an individual, right? It's about you helping, taking people along. And if you correlate, the best example is about the wolf pack, right? Like wolf has a very, very strict hierarchy, a society which is built on trust, on responsibilities. Everyone has their roles clearly defined, and all of them work towards a common goal, led by the leader. And that is what you as a leader have to define in your own organizations or wherever you take as a leadership position. Bring this idea that we are all in this together. We are all part of that common goal where we all have to go and maybe get things done, rather than making it like, hey, this is my vision. Many times I've seen those statements from my experience, right? Leaders who turn up and say, this is my vision. The moment that word comes in, half the people are cut off because they are like, oh, it's someone's vision that I'm just going to execute. There are some leaders who have worked who say that, hey, it's our vision. It's all, I've heard all of you guys, and this is our vision. The entire energy in the room just lifts because it feels like as if I'm part of that decision, right? So always think about it as a we rather than an I. And the last, I wanted to place this because end of the day, in whatever leadership roles you're going to be it in corporate, be it in civil services, social, whatever role you're going to take, leaders can be born, can take roles anywhere, right? You're going to deal with humans, and end of the day, you need to understand that emotions and that human connect has to be there. We might want to keep our metrics, we might want to measure people, we might want to have success criteria, but at some point in time, please understand that we are dealing with humans, emotions matter, and a great leader is someone who can cross that line and think beyond the goals and metrics that's given and understand what that other side is going through. And no better than the bonobo group, right? Very close to chimpanzees. They are like almost cousins to them, with a stark difference. When there is a dispute in this community, they sit together, talk and discuss, and very cordially close that problem that they're facing. Unlike the gorillas, chimpanzees, where things can get pretty aggressive. Similarly, they never let go a weak sibling. Okay, they don't let injured person or a weak person in that pack to. They take care of it, take care of them, and all of them basically work together. So that's the beauty about what we are dealing with. If we have the 6 traits that I spoke about and add the 7th, which is thinking from a human perspective, that's what brings together all the leadership traits that you really are looking out for. So finally, to close this, remember that leadership, when you really are looking out for roles, or in many times I have been told that, are you applying for leadership roles? Are you hiring for leadership roles? I basically try to shy away from that, saying that, hey, I think it's a wrong term that we are using. It should be either that, hey, are you hiring for C-suite? Are you hiring for top management, mid-management? That kind of terminology is correct, because leadership is something that cannot be defined by a job description or by a list of parameters. I mean, if that was the case, all CXOs would be great leaders, right? That is not the scenario. So how do we turn up and how do we become a leader is basically up to you. It's about, do not wait for someone to come and tell, okay, I'll give you a designation, then you become a leader. You need 20 years experience, then you become a leader. You have to do XYZ, then you become a leader. Choose your small leadership moments. That's what I would recommend. Every one of us today can choose one moment and basically say, I would want to be a leader here. Maybe it could be within your college premise, it could be just outside your campus. Any small responsibility where you step up and say that I will do a job like using the 7 traits that I will exhibit day in, day out, I think you have grown as a leader. Remember, Leadership is not about uplifting yourself. It's also uplifting a group of people along with you. I leave you all with this question. What type of leader are you going to be? Thank you.